Oh, hey, bienvenidos a todos. Welcome everyone. I am the Seamster. And what am I doing today? Well, one, I just got out of work. That's why I still got my tie on. And why am I in here already? Because I got work I got to do. I got orders I got to fill. But I got something that's on my mind that's been weighing on there. So I need to talk about it. Yeah, the handheld sewing machine. Yes, this little device right here can either be a headache or it can be a savior. I see a lot of videos out there and people give this thing thumbs down. Come on, it's only $12 to $15. What do you expect? But they wouldn't have invented it if it didn't work. It does work. I've used it to hem my pants, taper in the sides, alterations on my dress shirts, and also taper in around my bicep because I don't like my t-shirts to be that loose there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over everything when it comes to the handheld sewing machine. All the troubleshooting areas like replacing a bobbin, rethreading it. How do you get my tension? How do you set the needle? Why am I skip stitching? Why don't I have any stitches at all? Why does it keep knocking the cover off? All these things I'm going to cover starting right now. It doesn't come with any batteries. You're going to need some AA's, 4 of them to be exact. So there's a little guide in there to tell you how to put the batteries in. Just follow the instructions, drop the batteries in, and then lock them in place. Okay, the next thing, it's going to come with a full bobbin. Typically, it's going to be white. And that's the bad thing, is that they don't give you a choice. They just send you, 2 white ones inside of this pack right here. So let's talk about this pack. This pack comes with 2 bobbins, an extra needle, and also a needle threader. Okay, so just so you know, inside of the little pack, you will get extra bobbins, but it's going to be probably white thread, and it would be nice if they threw in some white and black, because how are you going to thread your bobbin once you run out of white? That's probably the next question, especially if you don't have a sewing machine where you can wind that bobbin up. Okay, so that's that. Looking at the handheld sewing machine, okay, so if it's full, you're good to go. It's pretty much ready to go. The needle's already set, so you can start sewing. The trouble is when we start having trouble, it starts skipping stitches or it doesn't stitch at all, is what I'm going to cover now. So what I want to do is I want to show you how to replace the bobbin. That's first. So let's do that. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's rethread this and put a new bobbin on. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this bobbin off, and there's a little plastic piece with a little spring. Don't lose that spring. I'm just going to pull the thread out, and I'm just going to show you here. That's a little plastic piece, and you also have an extension bobbin where you can put 4 bobbins on there. Yeah, make sure you put 4 or they'll just be bouncing around freely. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and slide that back on. Make sure that your thread is on top, pulling this way, just like that. Go ahead and push that in there, but don't push too hard. You don't need to. And you can see that little spring is holding that. Now, this is probably the most important part right here, what I'm going to say. A lot of people that you see on their videos is that they will take this and they will feed it from the underside of the plastic and go up. I do not do that. I feed from the top down, just like that. And there's a reason why I do that, because this little tension guide right here is not really any tension. The more you screw that in, it really does not make any difference. If you want to have a nice tight stitch, I suggest that you go from the top down like I just showed you, and that'll give you a nice tight stitch. If you do from the underside, again, you could have stitches that are not very tight. Okay, and now this part here, you want to use safety first, of course. There's a little plastic slide. Slide that underneath the power button so that that does not activate while your finger is underneath here, trying to get it underneath that hook. I would suggest that you use some tweezers to do this, but I'm going to try to do it with my finger and see if I can get this the first time, and normally I cannot, and I still cannot. So I'm going to go ahead and use these tweezers, and I'm going to hook that underneath just like that. There's a little hook right there, and that's where this thread will hook underneath there. Okay, all right, so now the fun part. This is where you have this little threader, and there's a little tiny hook that's on the underside, and that's the part that you want to go through this needle hole in the front, and the little hook is down. So I will just take these tweezers here and I will wrap this around that, and I'm going to set this down, okay, and I'm going to simply just, oh, I'm not going to simply do anything. I'm going to hook that again, and I'm going to pull that through just like that. And that should not take you very long to re-thread this. Just like that. It's re-threaded. Okay, so far everything looks good. Now we just need to use our sampler, and I got a sample piece right here of jersey knit black t-shirt, and I'm going to put that underneath the presser foot. So I have to, that's right, I have to lift this. There's like a little, it's a presser foot, a little spring thing here, and you want to put it on the opposite side of the bobbin and stick that underneath, directly underneath the needle, or just before the needle. And now I'm going to press this button here, and it'll begin sewing, hopefully. Good. Let's see. Just like that. I'll just let it come outside about, I don't know, about 2 inches or an inch. Either or. It doesn't matter. Let's take a look at the stitches. Okay. Well, it looks pretty good all the way around. And this part right here went through 4 layers of jersey knit, this t-shirt, because that's where it's folded over where the sleeve once was. So that's 4 layers, and it actually did a pretty good job right there. So I'm going to turn it over on the opposite side. And there was a skip stitch, and it was right before I hit the 4 layers of the t-shirt material. And so that's going to happen. If you are working with a thicker material, anything thicker than 3 layers of t-shirt material, you're going to have that problem of skipping stitches. But remember, this is not an actual sewing machine. This is just a handheld sewing machine. But overall, it did really nice on 2 layers. Okay, so I'm going to try to pull this apart. And I can't. I'm tearing the t-shirt is what I am. And that's a really nice solid stitch for a little handheld sewing machine. Okay, so far and so good. And you wanted that loop stitching to go beyond your fabric instead of ending it before the fabric, because if you did, it would just leave one little piece of thread, and that piece of thread could unravel this entire thing. Leaving it looped all the way through outside of it doesn't allow it to unravel itself. So yeah, satisfied. It looks pretty good so far. So now let's create a problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the front of the needle. I'm going to loosen up the screw that's on the very top where the needle hooks into, where it binds it down. And I'm going to try to run this through here and see if I can create a problem. And trust me, there is going to be a problem. So I'm going to put it back underneath. If I can get that under there. I'm having a problem. Okay, there. I'm going to put it back underneath that presser foot and underneath the needle. Remember, the needle is loose. So here we go. Oh, look at there. It just knocked off the cover of this. Why? Because the needle was loose and it pushed it all the way up. You can have skip stitching or you can have no stitching at all, because the needle is slowly working its way up and it cannot catch that lower loop catcher underneath that makes that thread loop. So that's what's happening here. So I have to readjust this needle now, and it's quite simple. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a mess, and I'm just gonna unhook all of this. Okay, so again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wind this all the way down, just like that, so I can detach this top part. Okay, and I'm gonna set this aside with all of that thread and everything just hanging onto it. You know, I might as well just get rid of this t-shirt material in here. So go ahead and lift up your presser foot, take that and just throw that over there to the side. Now your needle's just, it's loose, it's just hanging there. So now we can go ahead and raise this back up again, okay, to the highest point. And I just heard it click, so I'm at my highest point. And I'm going to push the needle up, just like that. And there's going to be thread that comes with it. Oh well. And you can just go ahead and get rid of that thread out of there. Just pull it right up out of there, because this all right here is going to have to be redone anyways. Okay, so now let's set the needle as if it was brand new. Look at the needle, and on either side of the holes you have a gouged needle on one side from top to bottom. That's going to face towards the back. The flat part, which only goes up to right there, this is all flat. That faces outward towards the front. Okay, and I'm going to drop my needle back down through the hole, just like that. And I'm going to use my finger underneath to apply some pressure. Now, this part right here, the very top of it, where the tensioner, the tightener is for your needle, you should barely feel that. You should barely feel the head of that needle up on the top, making sure that the flat part of the needle is facing outward. Go ahead and take your Phillips screwdriver and tighten that up, okay, without bending the needle, okay, because you got some pressure down there. And that's it. Now we need to put our cover back on, and what you have to do is you have to lower this back down again. I know it's just a pain in the butt, so here we go. We're going to turn our wheel clockwise until it clicks, and once it clicks, just go ahead and set. There'll be little locks in here with the two little locks in the front and one lock in the back. I always put the back one on first, and then I work with the front one, and it just clicked in just like that. So now all I'm gonna say to you is let's just start over like I showed you before and rethread this entire thing. But let's go ahead and raise that back up again. Yeah, it's like I did that 4 times, isn't it? I did. So I'm gonna raise that back up. I'm going to again lift up my presser foot and set that underneath just like this, and now I can go ahead and start stitching. And this is the center part where I just stitched, and again, that looks really good. I'm going to turn it over on the back side, and turn it over on the back side, and I have no skip stitches. It looks really, really nice. Okay, so let's move on now. Let's move on to some thin canvas. And let's see what happens with this lightweight canvas. Just, again, place it right underneath the needle. Everything looks good. And here we go. Okay, so far so good. I got that loop stitch that's underneath. Everything looks good so far. Okay, I just had a skip stitch. So what may be happening now is the material is too thick and it's causing the needle to push upward, and it's not catching underneath. Okay, so I got some skip stitching here and here, and you can see right there, that's where the skip stitches are. There. Again, the material just may be too thick, but yeah, I can see inside. You can see, look at it, it popped this off. Okay, so that means there was a problem. So remember, if this plastic part gets popped off, then there's a problem, either with the needle hitting the plastic on the underside, or the material that you're working with is just too thick. So I can see right now that the needle is too high, so I need to have the needle go back down again. And it started out really good, as you guys all seen. It was stitching fine, so I just have to keep an eye on this, but I can only put so much tension on that needle by screwing this in, because I don't want to strip that out right there. It's really, this material is really cheap, this screw right here. But overall, okay, as you can see, I went through some lightweight canvas. Remember that this is not a sewing machine, and we understand that, and we know that. This only has just a top stitch. And what happens is underneath here, that needle goes down, and then there's a catch that it comes and it catches it and it pulls it, and then when the needle goes up and it comes back down again, it loops it, and so it has like this type action going on underneath there. So that's why the stitch is still strong. Don't get me wrong, okay? I'm really tugging on that, on it, telling you, I just can't. Look at that. I just see, I'm tore the canvas is what I did. Okay. And just like that, that's it. Troubleshooting 101. Some of the common errors that, things that we're going to run into when we use this handheld sewing machine. It's a great little machine. Again, I wouldn't depend on it, you know what I mean, as I would like a regular sewing machine, but it does the job. Some tools that you're going to want to have on standby: a Phillips screwdriver, some tweezers, and some snips. These are things that you're going to have when you're working with this little handheld sewing machine. Again, if you guys really liked the video, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me some comments. Hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe to me, guys. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out.